Good day, everyone. My name is Troy Bernier, and this is the Miami International Science Fiction Film Festival. And right now we have Mr. John Kendall with his film called Rew, R-E-W, as in Rewind. This sci-fi thriller comes to us all the way from Anchorage, Alaska. And I'm not going to tell you all the ins and outs. As you know, we're going to find out the ins and outs. So Mr. Kendall is with us. So let's start interrogating him. Imperial ISP style. Greetings, John. How are you?
I'm good, Troy. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's a real pleasure having you here. Can you please tell us about this REW film? First of all, am I getting the name right? REW, Rue, what am I doing here?
You're getting it correct. Excellent job.
Great. So tell us, what does the REW mean?
It's really just, I took it from the rewind button on the old car stereo cassettes. That's where it comes from.
Okay.
Rew. Short for rewind.
Yeah.
Simple enough. Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about the film? Don't give it all away now.
No, I would never do that.
Sci-fi thriller.
Yeah. So the movie is about these two former colleagues, these two women who meet in the woods to test a time travel device that they had been developing before, but this would be the first time that they really putting it into action. And I mean, this isn't really giving anything away. I think this is kind of what you would expect in a movie like this, but things don't go as they think they go.
No. No. Yeah. What inspired you to make this? Why did you make this?
I really love like the lo-fi sci-fi kind of movies, like films like Primer and Coherence, things that have like these really smart, intricate concepts, but they're done on a really low budget.
Yes.
And I've really been wanting to make something like that, and I always loved time travel stuff, but I also always got kind of frustrated with like the rules of it all. They're always, there's always the contradictions of time travel, and just like this concept of how it could be different, not entirely based on science, came to me, and I thought, that might be an interesting way to do a time travel piece. So it also kind of came out of an episode of Radiolab. Radiolab is this podcast that I really like. Yeah. And they have an episode about loops, which is, just a tremendous episode of audio. And there's a segment in there where these two comedians are talking about this bit that they do, where they're essentially singing a really short, like a 20-second song over and over and over and over again, to the point where the audience is like, oh, okay, we see what they're doing.
Yeah.
The audience is, oh, okay, they're going to keep doing this. And the audience's reaction keeps changing and changing and changing.
Nice.
With every iteration. And so that kind of like something about like the looping constant iterations and changing the audience's reaction, interpretation to what they're seeing, mixed with like the time travel thing, were the kind of two seeds that stuck together for me.
Oh man. Wow. I have a couple pictures here I'd like to share.
Sure.
This is taken from the your stock there.
The stars, Danielle Rabinovich and Denali Romero.
Yeah. And this is in Alaska, right?
Yep. So that was shot in Wasilla, Alaska.
I've heard of Wasilla.
Yeah. People who remember the 2008 presidential election will have heard of Wasilla.
Is that kind of thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
It's funny because Alaska is a really beautiful place, and I mean, you could throw a rock and hit a beautiful, scenic vista. And I deliberately chose one of the least beautiful Alaskan-looking places I could find.
Who was in charge of location?
It was me and my cousin found this place. This is actually a location where my cousin and I used to ride four-wheelers as a kid. And
Yeah.
I mean, I really just like how kind of ugly and desolate it was. I didn't really want something beautiful and stunning because, for one thing, that would kind of take away from, the action and the characters and whatnot, but it also just wouldn't be reflective of what is happening in the story.
Yeah.
And it just so happened, we shot in April and spring at a time when Alaska is not a very beautiful looking place.
Mm-hmm.
So
when is it? What parts of the year? What months would you say is it green?
May
Anchorage.
through August.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. So, can you talk a little bit about how were you able to cast the people of the film? How did you manage to get them? Because when I think of Alaska, I don't think of a film community. So,
Yeah.
what's the film community like up there, and how what do you have to do to get the people cast for your film?
The film community is pretty small up there, but it's pretty close knit.
Mm-hmm.
Like Danielle. So this is Denali, the picture that you have. The other actress, Danielle, is someone that there we go, Danielle. Someone that my brother and I guess we had worked with her on a different short film, but I actually wasn't on set the day we were working with her because I thought I had COVID that day, but I didn't. But we'd seen Danielle on a bunch of other stuff, and
Yeah.
she's just someone that we always wanted to work with. And Denali was someone who I had met through work, but wasn't aware that she acted at all. But my producer did, and he recommended her. And so they both auditioned for us with a couple of other people that we knew of. And this was back in 2021 when we were doing this. So we did Zoom auditions, which, I don't think anybody would recommend or prefer that setup. But
right.
I mean, it's better than nothing.
Yeah.
So yeah, they auditioned through Zoom, and we did a lot of read-throughs through Zoom. We did a couple auditions, or not auditions, rehearsals, like in a parking lot beforehand.
Can we take a look at the short? I mean, sorry, can we take a look at the trailer?
Yeah, please.
Okay, hold on.
What are we doing here, Amy? What are we doing here, Amy?
And so you could see that there's definitely some conflict getting ready to brew up there. So we don't want to give it all away, but what was it like with the premiere? It premiered in Anchorage?
It premiered in Anchorage, yeah, back in December. And I went up for that. And that was actually the first time that I saw a lot of the cast and crew since we had filmed almost a year and a half later.
Wow.
And part of that was due to the pandemic, but then also between the time that we filmed, I moved to Atlanta, and all of our post-production happened in Atlanta, and we just took our time with it, frankly. But the premiere is great. I mean, like I premiered, I guess this is my 5th film that I premiered at the Anchorage International Film Festival.
Okay.
And, you know, it's just, there's a real, like, obviously it's my hometown, but there's, you know, the festival itself, there's a real sense of home there. So it was just wonderful to be back there and to show the film there. And the showcase we were in with a bunch of other Made in Alaska shorts was really tremendous. I really liked a lot of the other work that was there. Some really good documentaries, a great ski video, music videos, really eclectic stuff.
That's neat. What was your favorite part of shooting the film?
Really, I mean, my favorite part of the like the shooting process.
Yeah. What when you were making the film, what was the most exciting part of it for you?
I mean, really just the whole
thing.
the whole process. My favorite part of the process was the filming of it, but like, you know, the being on set and just like the physical act of making it and shooting cameras and whatnot. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's a specific point within the shoot that was my favorite. It was tricky because there's a couple iterations of what happens in the movie.
Yes.
And we shot out of sequence, but we also shot different iterations of the different parts of the sequences. It's hard to kind of explain in retrospect how that worked, and it was even harder to do it as we were doing it. Because it would be like,
I don't want to give it away, but it's part of the time travel.
Exactly. Like we would be like, okay, we're going to shoot, you know, this part of the scene, and now we're going to shoot it again, but we're doing it this slightly different way. And you have to remember it was very confusing. But it was a lot of fun.
Well, so where else has the film screened?
It has screened at the Maryland International Film Festival at I've got my Excel sheet right here. At the Southern Shorts Awards.
Yeah.
And that's it for now. So you're waiting to hear back from a few others.
Okay. What type of camera did you use, and what was your editing tool of choice?
Oh, it was a Sony, and Brian is going to be really disappointed in me that that's as much as I remember.
Okay. Well, what about editing?
We edited on DaVinci Resolve.
Okay.
Which was my first time using DaVinci Resolve.
Was it easy?
You know, so I'd used Premiere before, and so I was really familiar with Premiere.
Right.
And I mean, Premiere to DaVinci is a pretty easy pivot. And I think I prefer it now over Premiere.
Okay.
But
so what tool did you use to write your screenplay?
Final Draft.
Okay. Have you been an extensive Final Draft user, or is this your first film with Final Draft?
Yeah, Final Draft is really the only thing that I've used. I've had it, I'm probably over a decade or so, and it's, you know, I know there's a lot of other good screenwriting software out there. I guess Final Draft just hasn't been an issue enough for me to go to another one.
Yeah.
But I also, you know, I don't have any allegiance to Final Draft. If something better comes along, I'll hop over.
Yeah, it's a pretty handy package, and we're very thankful They sponsored the festival, so we're very thankful to have them. And
they're great.
Many people. I think 95% of all our filmmakers use Vital Draft.
If they're listening, it's a wonderful product, and I can't wait to keep using it.
Awesome.
In fact, I've got it docked. I've got it, saved in my dock at the bottom of my screen.
There you go.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, they do have the opportunity to listen in, so we'll see.
Well, let's hope they are.
Yeah. So, looking forward, are there any genres, roles, or other types of projects that you're particularly eager to explore?
Yeah. Someday I'm going to do a Western.
Okay.
It's going to happen. Yeah, I don't kind of try and stick to one genre too much. Although, if I'm going to do a Western, I'm not going to really cross that with another genre.
Right.
Right now I'm actually working on a Halloween movie script, which is a pretty new thing to me.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm having a lot of fun with it.
Sounds great.
I'd love to do more sci-fi. Sci-fi is definitely one of my favorites.
Yeah, we definitely want to see more science fiction come from you.
Mm-hmm.
That would be a plus. How are you going to choose which one versus the other? What's going to be that deciding factor for you?
What's going to be the next project?
Yeah, well, what's going to make you make a science fiction or a horror or something else? What's going to be the deciding factor?
The idea, really, just like how strong the idea is in me and how excited I get about it.
Sure.
I have a real bad tendency of just kind of like pivoting back and forth between different projects because I get an idea for one and that shifts me to focus on that as opposed to something I've been putting a lot of energy into. So I have a real bad habit about that, but it's always led by the ideas that excite me so much. So I would love to make a horror movie, but I have never really found the right things that click to for the right story that really excites me enough for it.
Yeah, sci-fi horror. That's it's not the easiest area, but in my opinion, it's probably one of the safest because you're touching both genres, and it usually draws interest from both sides.
Yeah.
So you can get a really good bang out of that. So let me ask you this question. This is a little complicated here. How do you view the evolution of film and storytelling with the advent of new technologies and platforms?
I'm on the skeptical side of how AI is inserting itself into the creative fields.
Right.
It's funny because I was in one of the kind of group interviews a couple weeks ago where some of the filmmakers were talking about AI, and one of the guys, I think he'd made a Spanish language film, but he had made a English language version of it using AI, I believe. And
that's Cesar Tuturo.
Right. And I don't know what his resources are like, what his budget's like, but I gather maybe he doesn't have a big studio behind him or anything like that. So that seemed like a really cool idea to me, that like he had this tool that's going to enable his film to reach these other audiences. I think that's really
He if my memory serves me right, he used the AI to translate everything and speak and be the voice.
Right. Yeah.
It translated the story from Spanish to English, and it was also the voice of the characters.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think there's a lot of trade-off because, like, let's say that the same thing happens on the level of like a major motion picture. like that's jobs that are being taken away. That's human opportunity that's being cited for computers. So whereas like, I can see applications of it being a good tool for certain ways. I also see like, big companies like, Apple just had that commercial for the iPad come out yesterday where they're destroying, physical musical instruments and paints and stuff like that, and over the all holy altar of, their technology. And it's kind of scary.
If you're from the vantage point of someone that loses the job from it, yes, without a doubt. No one wants to be replaced like that. But on the other side of the coin, and this is one of the other parts of this was discussed at the festival. We had a physical panel on this. And on the other side of that coin is someone who learns how to use the AI system and uses that system to complement what they're doing. So it makes them get their jobs done faster or better, anything like that. If it has any that or a combination of it, it can make a better version of whatever you're trying to make. It helps you do that, and that's a really big deal. Especially if you are an indie budget, indie production, who already doesn't have a whole lot of resources. Now you have either access to resources that are way more inexpensive than it would be to buy a software package to do something for you. You actually are using an AI to do it for you. So, and let's just say it like this. Let's say you didn't know how to do it, but you ask the AI to do it and it does it for you.
Yeah.
I've done that. And as a result, I don't have to go down the hallway and ask somebody. I have access to it, and you end up getting it done cheaper, faster, better than if you would have tried yourself. So there's a lot of uptick from that, a lot of good things that could happen. Of course, if someone uses it specifically for the sole purposes of displacing people, now you got an issue that you don't want to happen.
And I definitely see all of those advantages that you're talking about, and I think there's absolutely value in that. But I also think like the displacement of human function in art won't be intentional. I'm more concerned about it being an inadvertent side effect of it. And I'm no expert on it. The jury's still out, in my opinion. But I don't know. I'm watching with skepticism, but I'm not, I'm not shutting my eyes to the possibilities of benefit with it.
Yeah, we're not 100% sure how this is all going to play out.
Yeah.
More than likely, it's going to play out unfavorably because that's the way things are going these years. But something good could come out of it where it actually is used to help us. So without us having to pay for it, because that's where the real inequality comes into play, where you have this amazing tool that's able to do all of these amazing things, but you can't afford to use it.
Yeah, absolutely. It also could, indirectly inspire a lot of really good sci-fi.
Yep. That's what we see. We see how it's used as a complement instead of a subtractor. And when I see it being used as a complement, to me, it's enhancing films, making films look better than they would have previously. I'm seeing that.
True, but also what I also mean is like it could create good sci-fi in spite of the advances of AI, particularly because a lot of sci-fi is about like the fear of what the future could bring, and when the future feels so present, it's almost even more terrifying. which could make for good.
In cases like that, that's where what do they call it? It's like, it has to be watched closely.
Yeah.
In cases like that, that's the only way that you can deal with it. So you have to deploy it to see how it actually interacts. Is it interacting in a positive way or in a negative way? If it's interacting in a negative way, okay, turn it off and go back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
If it's being manufactured without an off switch,
And we're in trouble.
That's trouble brewing. It has to have an off switch.
Yeah.
So I think that better days are ahead with this, but we need the off switch and a few other things in there. So
yeah.
So that's my take on AI. So a couple more questions.
Yeah.
What was your favorite film last year?
Last year, my favorite film was a movie called Past Lives. It was written and directed by Celine Song, kind of based on her experiences as with her childhood friend in Korea and reconnecting with him years later as an adult and trying to reconcile who she was then with who she is now, and did she make the right choices in her life and all this kind of stuff. It's a beautiful film, and it also really reflected some experiences that I had in my life that struck me in a really profound way. Past lives.
So this is where I get to ask what I've really been waiting to ask. Star Wars or Star Trek? Which one or both?
Star Wars. But all due respect to Star Trek.
Yeah.
I kind of grew up with both of them at the same time. Next Generation was on when I was a kid. I watched, I can't say if I watched all of it, but I certainly watched quite a bit. Deep Space Nine was terrific. Phantom Menace came out when I was 13.
Wow. Did you watch all of them?
All of the Star Wars?
Deep Space Nine.
Yeah, probably.
Wow.
I mean, I might have missed an episode or two there, but
no, that's good. That's good.
Deep Space Nine is great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if Star Trek has a better overall record now. I don't know. There's been a lot of swings and misses with Star Wars in the last couple of years, and I wonder what Star Trek's batting average is comparatively.
Oh man, if you're asking about like Discovery, a lot of people don't like it for whatever those reasons are. If you're talking about Strange New Worlds, that derivative, some people say it's as good as the original series, if not better. So it has that ability to really carry people, and I think it's an excellent production. Yeah, by far.
Let me ask you something, because again, like I haven't really watched Star Trek since the 90s. Are the new Star Treks beholden to nostalgia?
The new ones? Yes. So Strange New Worlds, they pretty much have the retro piece in place. So it has that, it's intentionally designed to be older than the other films, the other shows.
Okay.
It takes place back, was 100, not 100 years, but maybe 40 years, 50 years, 40 years prior to the original series.
Right.
And they make it look a little older. So they put in the effort for it. So I'm happy with that. Of course, it's not 100% that way, but it's more like a retro than less retro, in my
opinion. Okay. Yeah. I mean, like I've watched most of the new Star Wars series, and I've watched all the new movies, and you know, a lot of them are really good, but most of them are just so beholden and chained to the nostalgia of it and the past of it that they just can't break out of it. And Andor notwithstanding, Andor is spectacular.
Andor is as good as it gets.
Yeah.
Well, we're kind of on a hard time here, so do you have anything that you'd like to add?
Just that, you know, thank you for speaking with me today. I'm always happy to talk about the movie and talk about sci-fi and complain about the status of Star Wars. You know, thanks to all my cast and crew that helped make this movie a reality. I really appreciate it. I hope you all are as proud of it as I am. And can't wait to get the cameras out and start making the next one.
Awesome. Well, with that said, folks, that's another show. And stand by, John. Stand by. And we would definitely thank everyone for coming on board with us this episode. And we look forward to the next time. Thank you. MiSciFi signing out.